Hi, we're the Wiggles. Welcome to the show today. We're the Wiggles. I'm Murray.
I'm Greg.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Anthony.
Everybody clap. Everybody sing. La 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 la.
Make them welcome Australia's best, the Wiggles.
Here come the reindeer. Here come the reindeer. Santa's friendly reindeer. Santa's friendly reindeer. They're pulling the sleigh with Santa and the presents too. We're having a picnic. Here come. Can you point your fingers and do the twist?
Well, then I'd love to go into the start of the group and hearing a bit more about how it came to be.
The way I remember it, over one summer, I was at university studying teaching with Anthony and Murray. They were 2 years ahead of me. And I got a call from Anthony saying, look, why don't we get together and write some songs for kids? I've been doing a lot of listening to play school albums and a lot of other kids' music. And he just thought that, we could write some songs that were as good as those or, try to aspire to be as good as those. And we should get together, write them and record them. So that's pretty much how it started. It started very loosely. At the essence of it, though, was the core values of the audience was what mattered most. What mattered was what we were doing for the audience and how we were engaging with them. And it's one of those quirky things now that we look back on, with the hindsight of time, and we can see the evolution of this thing that was not well thought out from day one. And I think that's the thing that probably blows a lot of people away, that we were so successful, but a lot of it was just, I was going to say luck. It wasn't luck, but it just happened because of pure intentions and a desire to do something that was good. We'd been learning about children and how they think and how you can educate kids by engaging them with experiences. So that really informed a lot of our songwriting. Anthony's very spontaneous, which is great. And I remember being on stage one time, we were on tour. I guess doing so many shows, day in, day out, 3 or 4 shows a day, 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, could become a little bit repetitive for us. So Anthony would throw in these things. He'd just try them without even discussing them with us. I remember he threw in this thing, I think he called it Question Time with Dorothy. So we'd have Dorothy the dinosaur on stage. And so Anthony said, okay, everybody, if you've got a question for Dorothy, put up your hand and you can ask a question to Dorothy. So all these kids would put up their hands and Anthony would say, yep, what's your question? And they'd say, I'm 3. And then Anthony would say, you're 3. Well, that's not really a question, but it's great to hear that you're 3. What's your question? I've got a sister. What was happening was kids were not asking questions, they were telling us information. And so we tried that for about a week, I think, before Anthony kind of went, what is going on here? Why is this segment not working? We got in touch with one of our lecturers from university and we asked her why this was not working. She said, it's very simple why it's not working. Number one, children don't really have a concept of what a question is. So they don't know to ask a question. Secondly, if they've got the chance to talk to Dorothy, being an egocentric child, they don't want to know about Dorothy. They want to tell Dorothy about themselves. So they're going to make a statement about themselves. So we changed that from Question Time with Dorothy to, tell Dorothy about yourself.
What's your advice then for people listening who have dreams that are unconventional or in things that are more difficult to achieve success in than other areas? What would your advice be for pursuing that?
Follow your dream, see where it takes you, Have a real world view of life. But if you've got a dream, follow that dream and see where it takes you, because opportunities will present themselves and, doors will be open, doors will be part open, doors will be closed, and they're there to open. If they're not open, try and open it and see where it takes you to, see what's on the other side. You might not want to go in, you might want to go in wholeheartedly and jump in. But the great thing is you can always change where you're going at any time, because you have the choice you've got the power of free will, choice to go down one path or another. As you take each step down the path, your view changes, right? Life never looks the same from where you stand. or if it does look the same, you're standing still. You should be moving at every moment in life. You should be getting a different perspective on life from things you've seen, things you've learned, experiences you've had, people you've met. They all inform your knowledge, and they empower you to make decisions about where you're going to go.
It kind of sounds like the Wiggles became successful overnight, but that's never the case. Success requires hard work, as we know. How did the Wiggles become such a worldwide phenomenon?
It's funny because as you were talking about that, I was thinking about 1991 when we released the album. That moment of releasing the album and doing photo shoots and doing performances to promote the album, that seemed like that happened overnight, and that was pretty cool. But that was nothing compared to what happened down the track, right? So as you go down this path, you have these experiences and you think, wow, this is amazing, this is incredible. You don't know what lies ahead. So as you're doing that, things grow and they become bigger, and yeah, it just snowballed. So I think the US didn't kind of happen for us in the UK. It didn't happen until around about 97. And I think it really took our Wiggles movie for those markets to open up to us. So in 97, we released this movie. I think it was just called The Wiggles Movie. In the US, it was called The Wiggles Magical Adventure or something like that.
Well, then what would you say was your most memorable moment? I'm sure you've got so many, but one of your most memorable moments in the Wiggles?
Yeah, too many to really hone it down to one, honestly, because there's all different ways of classifying most memorable, right? There's moments where you've met children who had a special reason for wanting to meet you, whether they were in hospital or they had special needs or their family was going through something really tough, and you could see the impact that you were having on them. And that was so magical to know that you're part of something that had this really powerful effect on a family or a child. That's so memorable. Then there's, just standing on stage at the Sydney Carols in the Domain every Christmas. From 1994, I think the Wiggles did every single Carols in the Domain in Sydney at Christmas time, and standing on that stage and seeing 120,000 people, that's so memorable. So meeting Robert De Niro, meeting Jerry Seinfeld, meeting those kinds of people, that's all memorable. So it's just been an incredible journey and an amazing ride, and such a fantastic thing to have been a part of that forms a big part of my life and who I've been.
Well, in 2006, you made the decision to leave the Wiggles. So tell us a little bit about that decision and, your choice to prioritize your health and leave the group behind.
Yeah, so that was a really tough decision to make. It was very hard because, number one, at that point in time when I made the decision, I didn't know what was wrong with me, which was really part of the reason why I made the decision, because I couldn't handle the stress of what I was going through. I was also going through a marriage breakup as well, which was very emotionally distressing. So there was a lot of things I was trying to deal with. Then when I started collapsing on tour, I thought, well, this has got to be something, pretty bad. I really need to make my health a priority right now. So I had to make the decision to leave the group. Ultimately, I got diagnosed with a thing called orthostatic intolerance, which means the inability to stand up or to be in an upright position for a period of time. Because what would happen was the blood would just pool in my legs. Yeah, got that diagnosed, got it treated with medication, and it's also something that emotional stress does have an impact on, but also losing vast amounts of sweat through performing had an impact on it as well, because I wasn't able to get enough fluid back into my body no matter how much Gatorade or water I would drink. I just couldn't get rehydrated, and that was the end result, was that collapsing, because the blood volume in my body was not sufficient for my heart to be, or for my legs to be able to pump the blood back up from my legs to my heart. So it's a little bit of a complicated thing, but needless to say, not performing with the Wiggles ended up being a part of my rehabilitation and recovery from that state that I was in.
You all came back for the bushfire relief concert. Tell us a little bit about that night and what happened, and I guess how that spurred a new passion and purpose for you.
So in January 2020, the original Wiggles decided to get together to do a fundraiser for some of the bushfires that had been through Australia. And we'd done a couple of these reunion shows before for people like you who grew up with the Wiggles and wanted to see the original guys back on stage again. So we did the first show on that night, on the Friday night, the 17th of January. I got through the whole show, got to the end of the show, and then I collapsed. I don't remember much about the show at all. I do remember collapsing. I remember rolling onto my back and feeling unwell and out of breath, but I thought it was just because I'd done a big show with the guys and I was probably a little bit older than I was before and maybe a little bit out of condition. But what had happened was that I'd had a massive heart attack. One of my major arteries in my heart had become blocked with a little bit of plaque that had broken off through the show and had clotted this artery, and that sent my heart into cardiac arrest. Two different things, heart attack and cardiac arrest, but one can lead to the other, as it did in my case. So when I was lying on my back there and trying to breathe, I now know that I was going into cardiac arrest and my heart was stopping. My breathing was stopping, and had it not been for people that were around me recognizing the fact that I was not breathing, I might not have survived. Because when someone's in cardiac arrest, unless you can correctly diagnose that they're not breathing, which sometimes can be hard, right? Yes, they called 000, but they also started CPR straight away. And that made a big difference to my survivability, but also a positive outcome once I did survive in terms of neurological outcomes and physical outcomes, because when the brain's without oxygen for a period of time, you can get brain damage starting after, say, 3 minutes. So that's why I'm saying being able to identify correctly somebody who's not breathing is so important, because you've only got about 3 minutes to really get that blood flowing manually with compressions to the brain so that it doesn't die off and start to be damaged. The other thing that was important in my resuscitation was an AED. And I know I've got a very messy office here at the moment, but that's because I'm working hard on a charity called Heart of the Nation, which is all about raising awareness about this very matter. And you can see a whole stack of AEDs there. 80% of cardiac arrests happen in the home. So for me, having the chain of survival put into play by these bystanders is the reason I survived. And, you know, I just still think about the day I left here and took for granted that I'd be coming home that night. And I didn't come home that night, but I did get to come home. And for 90% of people who have a sudden cardiac arrest, they don't go home. You don't have to be trained in CPR to give it a go. Any attempt at resuscitation is better than none. So the world's largest CPR class is going to go to air on the 16th of October. We can share that with people and let them know that they can tune in, because any attempt at resuscitation is better than none. So if you can tune in and watch this, you'll learn a little bit about CPR, but it'll be enough to give you the confidence and empower you to try and save somebody's life if you ever need to. The person who needs CPR, they can't get any worse than what they are. So anything you do in terms of trying CPR is going to only help them. If you do nothing, the only possible outcome is that they will die. We know that for a fact. If nothing is done, that patient will die. If you try something, they have a chance at living, and you would be the reason why they have that chance. Wouldn't you rather be the person that gives someone the chance at life rather than letting them die?